Okay, so we are back on ICSLand scenario 1.2, and here I want to show you a little bit of the dynamic of the game. And I'm sorry of the poor lighting, but unfortunately, this is the best I can do within the resources and time I have right now. So now the first thing you should notice in the setup, obviously, of the game, and you should be familiar with it. You have this main section here where you have IC operation logistics here that you cannot really see, and planning here, and then you have the field tracker which goes together with operations, and we'll talk about that later on. You have the invent box where you are going to be dropping the cards for the people to for the players to take actions, and on these sides you cannot see there's a safety officer if you have one. So I have actually set up the game where there is a gap between the two boards. The reason I've done that is I observe during several games that actually the IC has a lot of stuff, so having some room here to keep some of the cards, or maybe keep a form here, is actually something convenient. So we will set up the tables with a little gap between between those two things. Okay, so now let's look at the dynamic of the game. So as you can see, I put the map here, which was in the incident packet. If you've been watching the earlier video, you should be comfortable with that. So everybody should be organized. The chiefs in the centers and the scribe on the side. So the first thing you're gonna do playing the game is you're gonna drop the first card, which is really about, are you organized, are you ready, all those kind of things, and you'll double check. And obviously you will be as a game facilitator. The facilitator of the game will have the checklist, the scorecard, sorry, and will tick the different boxes. And the next card is actually about, are you ready? Do you have your incident action plan? So you drop the card again, and that's the way the game will basically run. You can drop the different cards into the event inbox here, and ideally the IC scribe catch those cards, but it can be somebody else. And actually, I would challenge you to make sure that the team also, if somebody else, which is not the scribe, the IC scribe catch the card, make sure that communications happen between the different players. So now let's get into one of the concrete element or examples and actions. So I'm going to drop the card, one of the first card, where, as you can see, if you remember in the introduction, there is actually here an indication that gives the name of the card, but also tells you that this card should come with an envelope. So this card is the resource 1, so it comes with the resource envelope number 1. So I'm going to take the 2 cards and I'm going to drop them here. So what should happen is, let's say the IC scribe should take this card and should obviously, 2 things. First, read the card. Now, this card is actually interesting because this card says that Carmen Castillo, a neighbor at 651 Madrone Avenue, is safe, her family is safe, she is safe, sorry, her family is safe, and is offering her house of her supplies, which is the card, and also her undamaged home. So what should happen in this first step is, if it's the IC scribe, the IC scribe should open that and say, oh, these are equipment and supply. So equipment and supply, they go to logistics. So the card should be transferred to the logistics, which is somewhere here you cannot see. And the decisions will also be, oh, there is this house at 651 that is undamaged and that is offered to us. So let's set up our command post here. So if you look in the tracker box here, which is intended to be used on the map, there's a command post. So the team should take, okay, let's establish our command post on 651 here and put the marker there. Now, obviously, with that action, planning should record that we are in 651 and it should be documented. So that's the idea. Now, once the cards here has been processed, you can put it wherever you want. There are actually some little tray somewhere that I provide, but you might actually want to collect them, but it doesn't matter anymore. So this one has been processed. So that's an example. Let's go through the second one now. So the second one has here resources 2. So resources 2, if you look at the card here in details, sorry, I'm trying to go to the camera here, and again I apologize for the quality. You see that the card 2 has actually, well, you won't see it, yes we are, it has resources to envelope, and it also has a form. So for this one I'm going to give the envelope and the form, put those two things together and drop that in the inbox. So again, someone will catch that, and obviously the form is actually the summary of the objectives and incident action plan. If you watch the previous video, you can see that you should have driven them to write this incident action plan, but we're giving them a form just in case they didn't fully get it, and make sure that they have an incident action plan. Second thing that should be done is, okay, now open the envelope. Now this envelope is a little bit different from the previous one in the sense that there are two types of cards. There are the blue cards now, and the blue cards are the people. So here we have Ken, Alice, Terence, and Judy, which are actually part of the game now. So again, those those 4 people and these other resources should be transferred to logistics. And logistics should obviously, when it comes to people, check them in on the master sheet and put the resources here on the equipment inventory. So that's the idea of your most of the phases of the setup. You'll be dropping cards and envelopes, and you have to make sure that the team are actually processing them right and doing the proper element. Now, let's look at how a field action should be triggered here. Let me get the cards here. So if you remember, and I'm going to move for the sake of demonstrating on the game the board here, the field action plan, a little closer so you can see better. So the ops section is really here. So you have the ops scribe, the ops chief, and there's a field tracker here. So the field tracker is going to represent how we simulate execution of actions. So let's say that per the incident action plan, IC and ops decide to do a quick hazard survey. So ops should look at the different cards, field action cards they have, and you see that you remember those cards have different labels here. So there is a card for quick hazard survey. There's also a card for neighbor assessment. There's a card for like search and rescue and triage, and there are custom cards where you can just put a post-it and say, well, this is a medical center, or this is a child care, or whatever. So let's take the quick hazard survey card. So we want to send a team to do quick hazard survey. So ops is going to take the card and say, okay, I'm going to send 2 people and let's say a flashlight. So ops is going to go to logistics and say, okay, send me 2 people. Logistics is going to say, okay, I'm going to send you Ken, put Ken on the board, and I'm going to send you Alice here. So you have Ken and Alice on the board, and I'm going to give you a flashlight. So now you're ready to launch the quick hazard survey, and as ops you say, okay, I'm doing quick hazard survey, and you put it there on the field tracker. So that process of deciding what action to take, taking an action card, putting the right resources, and putting them in the field is what the team, the players should do on the game. Now, once the player has done that, as the facilitator of the game, what you will do is you would say, okay, the quick hazard survey has returned, and they have their report. So again, you will see the card here, quick hazard survey, has the name, said team returns, and he said there's the form. So you have the form, which is the feeling quick hazard survey. So the best way to do that is you, as the facilitator, take the card here, put the return on the card, and you drop this into the inbox. Now, what should happen here? Ideally, ops should take that and say, okay, quick hazard survey team is back. Fantastic, I don't need that. Oh, I have that form. Great, I'm going to be able to look at what's there. Let me have a look. Now, I have those 2 people that return. Okay, what am I going to do with them? I'm going to keep them with me, with the ops, so I put them here on the board in the personnel track, and flashlight, I'm going to keep it there and put them back, and the card you return in somewhere. So you have to make sure that they keep track of where the people are. So the most simple thing to do is say, well, I'm in ops, I know I'm going to run more operation later on, so I'm going to keep the people in my staging area as ops, so they stay with me. But ops and later on in the game could very well decide, you know what, I don't need Alice and Ken anymore, so I'm going to return them to logistics. At which point you should make sure that ops records on their check-in, check-out forms that Alice and Ken are checking out from operations, transfer them to logistics, Logistic takes them back, and logistic check them into logistic. So as you can see, the idea here is really to focus on the flow. So let me recap. I'm ops. I want to do a quick hazard survey. I need 2 people. I get them for logistic. I record all that. I put those people on the card. I need a flashlight. I put the flashlight, and I send the action in the field. And then the facilitator of the game will take that. Okay, the field action is done. Here are the results. So this flow is a very important element. Now, one final notice before I finish this video. Let's say that there's a medical treatment area. There's a special card for that. So, and you might have 2 people in the medical treatment area, and maybe you might have 2 victims. I don't have the cards here, but now the medical treatment area will be on the field, and this one will actually stay on the field. So you have nothing to do as a facilitator, except maybe check that there are enough people in the medical area, that they have the right resources, and those kind of things. But there are actions that might stay on the field. So this is really the spirit of the game, and why there's a medical area, you might actually have a light search and rescue running here, which is with another couple of people with a flashlight. So again, you should see the cards move in and out of the field, but there might be cards that might actually stay on the field. So I hope this helped you understand the dynamic of the game, and thanks for watching, and hopefully you have great fun with your team when you play on game night.